Okay, so the first step is we have to set up our equipment. That's always the first step. So in any exercise, there's three parts to an exercise. There's always a preparation, there's always a central piece where you're actually doing the exercise, and then there's the termination piece, which is where you complete the exercise, rack the weights, et cetera, to complete the exercise safely. It's very important that at the termination phase you pay attention to safety, because that's where most clients get into trouble, is on the termination phase of an exercise. Okay. So the first thing about the bench press is we want to make sure that all of our equipment is set up correctly. Obviously, we're doing a flat bench press, so we have the bench flat today. Okay. We have our rack now. Racks are various types. Today we have a basic, what we call a quad rack. So I have my square rack, and we have the straight bar on the uprights. These are the uprights. This rack has the advantage of having built-in spotter bars. So when I lower the weight, should I get the weight into a position where I cannot lift the weight again, I can always put the bar on the spotter bars and be able to crawl out from underneath the bar to make sure that I stay safe. So if you're going to be working by yourself, this kind of rack is imperative. But in general, you'll be working with me or one of our trainers, so that's not a concern. But I did want to point out this type of rack, this type of equipment that you see in front of you. It's not the usual bench press rack. Okay? So the first step is when we want to make sure that our bench is flat and centered in the rack. When we lay down, we want to make sure that our bar is low enough so that when we lift the bar off the rack, we can clear the bar from its supports. Okay? So the first thing I can see right there is that I'm not centered in the exercise. So the first thing I want to do is center my bar, center my bench, so that I make sure that I'm centered in the exercise. Okay? So we center ourselves, make sure we duck our head, and this way, when we go to lift the bar, it's balanced in both areas. Okay? So that's the first step. We want to make sure that all of our equipment is set up correctly. All right? And then what we want to do is we want to get our body into position for the exercise. So now what we're going to do is we're going to place both of our feet on the floor, flat on the floor, no lifting of the heels, no lifting of the feet. We want to make sure that our legs are at 90 degrees to the floor. Our back is flat on the bench. At this point, we want to start our breathing. Breathing is very important here because muscles operate with a combination of nutrients and oxygen. So we want to make sure that we're delivering as much oxygen as our muscles need to complete the exercise with as much power as our muscles are going to require. Okay? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start our breathing in and out. We're going to concentrate on the exercise. We're going to envision the exercise, what it looks like in our mind. Because most of the time, if you can't picture the exercise in your mind, if you can't picture yourself doing it correctly and successfully, you actually won't. So what we believe we achieve. All right? So first thing is we want to start our breathing. We want to focus our mind on the exercise, what it is we're out to accomplish here. Back flat on the floor, legs 90 degrees. We want to reach up with a pronated grip. This is pronation. And we want to make sure that our hands are just wide. Now this is a standard grip. Sometimes you'll see lifters lift way out here. Sometimes you'll see them lift in close. Today we just want a standard grip, which means that if you look at where my elbows are, that's where my hands actually belong, right there. So if I take my hands and I bring them 90 degrees like this, when I go to lift up, you'll see where your hands belong. Right there is where your hands belong. Okay? So the first thing I want to do is I want to tighten my core. Now you would think that this is not an abdominal exercise, but believe it or not, every muscle in the body, all of our extremity muscles, are attached to the core of our body. So if we're not activating our core, we can't deliver a stable platform for the rest of our muscles to operate. So what we want to do is we want to actually bring our belly button in, pretending we're trying to push it through the back of the bench, And that will activate the core muscle so that we're tightening our core. Also, in any exercise, we want to protect our back. Back muscles, believe it or not, are protected by the abdominals. The stronger your core or abdominal muscles, the stronger your back can be during the exercise. So we want to activate our core by bringing our belly button in, feet are in position, hands are now in position. Now we want to push up on the bar just slightly to activate the muscles. From here, we want to push the bar straight up to the ceiling, clearing the rack. Stable and clean. We want to lower the bar down until our hands are until the back of our elbows are just parallel to the ground. We don't want to dump the bar onto our chest. We want to keep the weight on the muscle at all times. Okay? From here, we push the bar straight back up to the ceiling, squeezing all the muscles in our chest. Then down, hold for 1 second, then up. Hold for 1 second. Then down, hold for 1 second, and then up. Hold for 1 second. And that really is the exercise right there. That's the central phase of this exercise. We bring it down, breathe in, push it up, breathe out. Hold. Down, breathe in, up, breathe out. When we're ready to complete the exercise, all we do is rack the weight, lower the bar slowly, and that completes the exercise. Okay, now, if you have a lot of weight on the bar, you might want a spotter, which would be one of our trainers, obviously. But again, if you're operating on your own, you might want to have a spotter to help you unrack the weight, spot you on the exercise, and then re-rack the weight. Okay, just to make sure that you stay safe at all times. Okay, thank you, and I'll see you on the next exercise. Have a great day.